into the next season, then you start from that point instead of, all right, we got to figure out how to do this again. So hopefully I'm looking forward to that definitely.
Terry, you mentioned just working on the timing with Jaden. That's supposed to be a process. Today, you guys were focusing on the red zone.
Yeah.
Obviously, from a timing perspective, not a lot of space down there. That's got to be key. How do you build on that, specifically the red zone, with a new quarterback?
Definitely. I think red zone can be difficult for offenses sometimes because you don't have as much room to operate, and the defense has the back end line as another defender versus when you're kind of out by the opposite 40 or you have more field to work with. So the spacing and timing is even more paramount when you're in the red zone. And so that's why you have to really be detail oriented in where your splits are as receivers, tight ends, all skill positions, and the depths of your route. You don't want to be in someone else's space when you're running your route. And so, him and I connected on a hitch route, which could kind of be tough, down in the red zone because, again, they have that backline defender. So some DBs are not even worried about you running that far or they have enough makeup speed to get there. So my objective in that situation is try to make that DB feel my speed and kind of get a quick release. And I think what he talked about after that was really important, where even if that DB may be playing in your back hip, like ball placement is very key in those situations. And I think he did a great job. You want to try to leave that ball either low and away or high on my outside shoulder so I can, even if it's a bang-bang play, I have a chance to get it versus you leave the ball inside, then it could get a little muddy. So he just has a natural feel for that, and you can see it by the way he operates, but also by his actions as well. And it's not always going to be perfect, but just to have that mindset, I'm expecting that now. So when I come out my routes, I have a good idea where he's going to put it.
Terry, some of us have covered this organization for an awfully long time.
Mm-hmm.
You have been through a couple of different administrations.
Yeah.
Yes, Keim, you've been here 40 years. I get it. How different is the field, not just day one here, but through veteran mini camps? Because we kind of feel like there's a different vibe.
Yeah.
We've said it before, but the word's different, but for you, having experienced it, how different is it?
Definitely. I've experienced a lot in my going on 6 years here, and I could just at least speak to just this year, and I feel like the continuity from the top down is very clear what the objective is, bringing in good people who are really good at their job and are going to be competitors in what they do and bring their best selves to the building each and every day. I think that started from Mr. Harris and the ownership group, and I think that goes down to AP and DQ and our coordinators and the leaders on this team and our position coaches. So when you have that one voice, that one mission, I think it makes it very clear what the expectation is, and there's not a lot of deviation from that because if you want to be a part of this team and this organization, you have to fit that mold or you probably won't be here. But I think the great thing about it is there's no favoritism. There's no, well, because you did this here or because you had this season last year. Like, we got guys and coaches from all over the place. But one thing they have is we have a lot of guys with experience, leadership, championship pedigree, and who are competitors who want to come and make this organization better and win together. And I think you can feel that juice. And then when you have the opportunity just to come out here and compete, that's what you love to do. You don't have to really focus on a lot of the off-field stuff we may have had, but you get to focus on football and how you get better and try to earn your spot on this team. So it's been really fun getting to know the guys. Like I said a few times, like even the first few days in the spring, we really didn't even talk a lot of football. We just got to know each other, which is new, you know what I mean? We've even mixed up the locker room where I'm sitting next to Forbes and some of the linemen, and usually you stay with your position group, but I think it helps just that continuity process a little quicker where you have those moments to spend time with guys you may not spend time with otherwise because they're not in your position room. So I could just tell we have a group of guys that are gelling well and enjoy spending time with one another, and also like to grind. And we set standards before ourselves as a team where that's what you have to hold up to if you want to be a part of this team. And I think that's great because it holds everybody accountable. Then it's on myself and it's on the other guys to hold each other accountable into that standard. As long as that doesn't deviate, then you have a good chance to have success. Mm-hmm.
Along those same lines, you guys got together in the offseason or in that off period in Oregon and through with the quarterbacks and receivers. Is that something where you guys are able to get in some real football work, or is that more about continuing that relationship building? And as you get out here to camp, do you feel kind of the cohesiveness from doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, actually, I didn't get the chance to make it out there. I had a family obligation, but I was in communication with Marcus and everybody who was there, and we got a chance to really connect while we were here. And in the offseason, I've been a part of those throwing sessions. And, yeah, it's definitely a part of the timing and the work. But it's more so about hanging out, get to know each other on a different level, and just enjoying your downtime together before we get going for a long season. So I think the great thing about it, when you have situations like that where it's a time to really build with one another but also get to know each other, and I think the great thing about this year is we really did a lot of that in the spring. Like, I got to play a lot of golf with Marcus and Zach Ertz, and, you know, inviting guys who have never golfed before, and guys are in there playing ping pong and cornhole. And, you know, I sometimes look in the locker room, I'm like, man, like, we've been done for an hour and guys are still in there hanging out. You know what I mean? So I think that continuity really just goes a long way, and it helps with the timing as well. So obviously now that we're here, we'll get plenty of reps and have time to talk about it in the film room, but that off-season time is definitely important as well.
Terry, you spoke about leadership, right, on the team. And it really wasn't that long ago that you were new to the team. What's it like now to fill that role as a leader and know that that's just as important as what you're doing on the field as well in your position?
100%. I think I would like to think I've been blessed with a leadership skill set that sometimes I kind of shied away from when I was a little younger, whether I was in college or even high school, or even earlier in my career. I was just always a leader by example, which I think is great. I think, you know, I just wanted to be somebody who was on time, who was accountable, did what I was supposed to do, and you could look at me as an example. Not that I'm perfect, but I just try to do things the right way. I try to be a pro. I try to set a good example for myself and my teammates. And as time has grown and you grow that respect, you have a little success, guys want to hear from you more. And I never wanted to be the type of vocal leader where I was someone who was just like a dictator or tearing guys down or just telling them what to do. But I think it's just more so speaking to the accountability aspect, where you see guys maybe necessarily not doing what we set out to do, or the standards that we set, you kind of check them on that. But I think that the awareness that we all have is not coming from a place of anger or a place of frustration. It's coming from a place of accountability, and we've all, you know, had a pledge with one another. We're not going to take that personally. And so for myself, I just tried to put myself in a situation where I speak up a little bit more. But even when I don't want to talk so much where it kind of just gets drowned out. I want to be someone where I say something, it's meaningful, it's impactful, and I think I've learned that happy middle, and I think it helps a lot when you have a lot of other leaders around, because I've learned from Zach, I've learned from Bobby Wagner, DQ sets a great example, and so you feel like that the weight of leadership doesn't fall all on you, but at the same time, I know what I bring to the table as a player and a leader, and I just try to set that standard. So, you know, I really try to hold myself to a standard where not perfection, but on and off the field, I'm leading in a way that guys want to follow you, you know what I mean? And it's not just by your play, it's how you communicate with them. I try to get to know the guys on the team, know about their families and things like that. So that's just that personal relationship goes a long way when it comes to leadership, because when you say something, they have more of a respect because they know where you're coming from.
Along the lines of that, as far as newness and energy and leadership, DQ, Adam Peters, everything is new for them. How important is it when they lean on you guys, you and Jonathan, as the veterans have been here, to kind of get together and kind of get on the same page? Well, as you mentioned, though, but not playing favoritism to anybody else.
I think we have just the experience of being in this area. I think we've really helped guys being able to, you know, hey, you need a place to stay, you need a realtor, you need a bodywork person. Just that aspect of it where you're trying to get guys acclimated just to being in a new place. And I think John and I and Payne and a lot of other guys who've been here for a while, Tress and Revo, and we have we've had a lot of experience in this area. And honestly, we've had experience of some good and some bad. And I think the good thing about it is AP and DQ didn't really come in with really focus on what happened last year or the old regime. It was just, how do we move forward? How do we build an identity for this Commanders team? And they really allowed us to take the keys to the car and set standards for ourselves. Like, sure, there's expectations that they expect as a player and as a person, but whether it was through the team building activities that we had or just, you know, writing a pledge as a team and letting the leaders run that. Like, it was literally our words, our sentiments, our accountability, and it's up to us to hold up to that standard. I think it's great that we have a group of guys with a lot of experience like that, and we know that it's going to pay dividends if we continue to hold ourselves accountable in that way. So it's been cool to, you know, have a breath fresher air where, you know, it just feels like a new start for everybody.
What was the pledge you guys wrote?
I'll probably try to keep most of it within our team, but it was essentially along the lines of just what we're going to commit each and every day when we come out to this football field. Not only what we're going to do on the field, but off the field. How we're going to prepare our bodies, how we're going to prepare our minds, how we're going to hold each other accountable when those things may slip. And I think one of the things that stands out the most is just, like I kind of touched on, is you can't take that personally. I think we're all competing for jobs, we're competing for respect, we're competing for some guys' contracts. So everybody has an individual aspect to it. But when you bring the team, you put the team first and you put it in writing, it forces you to be accountable, honestly, because it's like, well, I agreed to that. I may have signed that, or I was part of putting those words together. So if I'm not out there upholding, whether it's finishing, whether it's taking care of my body, being accountable, like how can I expect our rookies to? And so I think that puts a good amount of accountability and pressure on our leaders, but also it forces the young guys and the guys who may, be here for a year, whatever. It's just, there's one voice and one sound that the team came up with outside of the expectation of the coaches or the organization, which I think is extremely powerful. I haven't really experienced anything necessarily like that, where the guys have come up with something like that, and it was just really cool to see everybody's ideas and how they view leadership, how they view team building, and what's important to having success. And obviously we know that doesn't mean anything if we don't live up to those standards, which that's part of the pledge, but also the wins and losses are a big part of that as well. And but I think that's obviously the big picture, the wins and the losses. That's why we're all here, to win. But there's things underneath winning and losing that contribute to winning and losing, if that makes sense. And I feel like there's a very, very clear set of standards that we've put forward.
When the quarterbacks split first-team reps, does that affect a receiver's ability to build a rapport?
I don't really think so. And I guess I'm unique in that way because I play with multiple guys. So I've been able to, adapt. And I think it just forces everybody to communicate a little bit more. Marcus may see something different than Jaden, something different than Sam, something different than Jeff. And I think the main aspect is we come out here knowing what we're doing, executing Cliff's offense, executing the depths, executing the timing and the spacing of each concept. And I think as long as guys come out here prepared, studying when we're not in the building and taking notes while we're in the film room, just naturally you're going to have a standard of what it's supposed to look like. But then the nuances of offense and football, like there's going to be a little difference in what each quarterback does, and I think that's where the communication comes in. But Marcus has been around for a very long time. He's won games. He did great in college, so he just has a natural maturity and feel about football that brings a calm to our offense that I think is extremely needed. And, Jaden with his just natural ability, and not only that, his work ethic is very strong, and he wants to be great. And not only that, he's very personable, and he wants the guys around him to have fun. So you got a good mix of a quarterback room where there's no ego. Guys are competing. They want to put their best foot forward, but they're all trying to make plays and do what's best for the team. It's been really fun working with everybody, and I know we're going to continue to build on the things that we've done so far. Thanks, Terry. No problem. Appreciate you guys. Good to see you.